Hello, I'm Zion, and I'm going to be telling you what photography is. What photography is, if you look it up in a dictionary, photography is going to say the practicing of taking or developing photos. But if you ask a true photographer, someone that's really dedicated in photography, someone that has spent their life in photography, they're going to give you a story about what photography is to them, how they got there, how they got interested in it, what was their first thing. Because photography to them is not just a definition of what it is. To them, it's their life, it's their world, it's their blood, sweat, and tears. And that's when you determine whether are you willing to put blood, sweat, and tears into your photography career, or if you just want to do photography for fun. Are you willing to put hard work into it? And once you determine that, then you go to the next step. The three things that you need to have in photography are motivation, the ability to fail, and patience. The reason why I chose these three things is because I feel it's really important to have these three things when you're starting off in photography. When you have motivation, you're gonna want to advance in your photography. You're gonna want to do better. You're gonna progress. You're gonna see difference as you from what you started from to where you are now. For example, for me, when I first did photography, I thought I was really good, but I was motivated to get better, and now I feel that I'm doing great on my photography. I look at my last year's pictures and I'm like, whoa, I took this. It's so bad. But now I look at this year and I'm like, wow, this is a real difference. But I'm still striving to get better and better. And when you're motivated, you're gonna want to push yourself. Same thing in sport. You're gonna push yourself to be the best player. You're not gonna just want to stay at the bottom or be the second best. You're gonna force yourself. You're gonna do the activities that it takes. You're gonna do whatever it takes to be that best player ever. And then secondly, I would say is having patience. Patience is a big thing because when you have patience, it shows are you willing to work or are you willing to have that great idea and wait for the perfect conditions to be able to take that great photo. So this is when I really recommend you get a book that you could write down all your ideas in, because if you just take your picture in the settings that you're not wanting for the photo, it's gonna turn out bad. So if you have this amazing idea with a nice beautiful sunset, you can't take that in the day because you're not gonna have the effect that you wanted in the photo. Or even down to if you want this nice gloomy feel into your photo, wait until it's like night or raining or something to have that perfect photo. You can't take that in the bright day. So it's all about patience, waiting for the perfect moment to take that photo. Thirdly, I would say having the ability to fail. No photographer has taken their photo on their first try. If you have taking photos is like you have to take dozens of them to have that perfect photo. And all professional photographers will tell you that it didn't just take them one photo to be able to do that amazing photo. It will take them multiple photos to have that one photo that they chose. Because when you fail in your first photo, you're gonna want to try again and be like, hey, let me try this out, or hey, let me do something different. Let me stand somewhere else, or let me stand in the same location and take the same picture and see if it's the lighting or if it's something different. You're gonna want to change things up when you fail your first time, and it's gonna make you want to do better for your next photo. And then once you've determined you have those three things, then you're ready. Then you can start looking and researching into equipment. I highly recommend a DSLR because with a DSLR you could change your lens. For example, on my Canon that I'm recording on right now, it's a T6, and with the T6 it's really great. I have two lenses for it, and they're really expensive because if you go cheap on a lens, you're not gonna have great quality photos. But if you go expensive and you actually save your money up and save money up to spend on a good lens, then your photo will be amazing. Your lens will determine your aperture. Your lens will determine what your ISO is and your shutter speed. But I'll talk about that later. But here are some of the cameras that I really recommend. I recommend a Canon, the T series, anywhere in the T series, that's a DSLR, or I even recommend the Nikon series, the D series, and DSLRs are really important. I'm stressing to you, DSLRs are really good for photography. And once you have that, then you can start thinking about, how do I start taking these photos? How do I make it different? How do I use manual mode? Because automatic mode is not going to get you the results that you're looking for. Automatic, if you ask a photographer what automatic mode to them is, they will say, what is that? They only know manual, because manual is all that they do now. So there are 3 things in the manual settings that you will need to know of the basics. You have ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. These 3 things will help you develop your pictures and make them look better, or they can even make them look worse than what they started off from. ISO determines how much lighting is going into the camera. So if you have a lower ISO, which is around 100, then that means the darker your photo is and the less grainier it is. It's not going to be as grainy compared to 1600, where it's super grainy but a lot of light is getting let through. Mostly you would use an ISO. Your ISO will be used for like sunny days, and sunny days where you want 100 ISO for that sunny day. And really, you don't really want to mess with ISO too much, because it can affect your photo and how it looks. And us photographers, we like to be careful when we're adjusting ISO, and we like to adjust to other things like shutter speed and aperture, because rather than having a grainy photo, which is really bad, we like to try to work with our eyes, have our ISO still low, and work with the other things. So now moving on to shutter speed. What shutter speed is? It's how fast your camera can take your picture. And the lower the shutter speed, the more motion blur you have, and the higher your shutter speed, the faster the camera takes a picture. So if your shutter speed is on 30 compared to 30, that means you're gonna have motion blur. But if your camera's on 1 in 5,000 seconds, you're gonna have a really quick shot, or a motion freezing, because this shutter speed is measured in seconds. And since it's measured in seconds, so 30 is being the longest, and 1 of 5,000 is the fastest. Okay. And once you learned and played with the camera shutter speed to learn how it works and all that, then you're gonna want to move on to what your aperture is. Aperture is like the camera's eye. The lower the aperture, the smaller the camera eye is. And the higher the aperture, the bigger the camera eye is. And this is really used for when you're taking pictures where you want the back to be blurred out and mostly focus on the object in front of you, or if you want to focus on everything as a whole, you're going to use the higher aperture, which is f22. And if you want just to focus on something that's up close, you're going to use f1.4. And this all depends on the lens that you're using, because different lenses have different aperture ranges. But normally they will range from f-stop 5.0 to f-stop 22. And f-stop is used to determine your depth of field of how you want your picture to be portrayed. And once you've learned those 3 things and master them, then you will have an amazing photo. And I promise you would see, you just go out and practice with these, you would get better, and you will learn which ISO and shutter speed and aperture is best for which environment. And I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope that you guys learned something from this. Thank you.